Let's be real. Starting, running, and scaling a coaching business can feel exhausting. I mean, you've got the marketing, the hustling, the selling, all that stuff you didn't realize you would need to master when you decided to start a coaching business. For anything like me, you started your coaching business to change the world, to improve the lives of others while improving your own. Well, the truth is, running a business doesn't have to be as hard as many of us have made it out to seem. And you don't even have to do all that hustling stuff if you don't want to. You really can get into flow, into your zone of genius, and get back to the work you were sent here to do. But you have to ask for help. You have to be willing to work in new ways. You have to be willing to open up your mind to mentors who might be doing it differently than you've ever considered. And you have to be willing to actually implement new ways of thinking and running your business. If you're up for that, stay tuned. I'm Hannah Hermanson, your certified coach, international speaker, author, and yes, the founder of Dream Life is Real Life and the host of this show. And I've been able to help hundreds of coaches build, scale, and enjoy their online businesses. Essentially, make their dream life their real life. And if you'd like help improving your business life and get your coaching business to the next level, we might be able to help you. Head on over to dreamlifeisreallife.com/show to get all the resources and episodes that we talk about in this community. You can join our Facebook community, you can find me on Instagram, but more importantly, if you're really ready to integrate what you learn here today and on other episodes, then you'll be able to set up a complimentary 10-minute chat with my team. Again, at dreamlifeisreallife.com/show, no strings attached. We love getting to know you and seeing what are the right next moves for you. But now let's get on to the show. In this podcast, you'll find the real people, concrete tactics, and weekly motivation and inspiration to make your dream life and business real. I started this podcast to bring you the role models that I never had. We talk to successful entrepreneurs, freedom seekers, business owners, and people living life on their own terms. To be a true leader, to create the legacy you desire, and to live in alignment, you need a tribe lifting you up. And I've made it my mission to be your tribe, to bring them to your ears at least, because after all, we are all in this together. Now, let's cue the music. Hey everyone, we are live and alive today with my good friend and colleague in some ways, Patrick Ray. So Patrick is an experienced community leader and coach. He uses the power of community, meditation, and listening to heal people's emotional traumas. Having worked in this space for almost a decade, he's coached hundreds of people. And right now he leads one of the largest meditation communities in London. And he just set up a non-for-profit community venture where he's helping the development of consciousness-oriented communities worldwide and supporting indigenous elders in their work in maintaining traditional wisdom. So many beautiful words in that bio, Pat.
Hannah, thank you so much for having me on. So guys, I met Hannah. Hannah and I were colleagues at a coaching company, and then I just went on the company's program, and then she mentored me, and she's like. So that group, that mouthful of a group, as in Hannah was like, "Hey, dude, when are you gonna do it? When are you gonna do it? When are you gonna do it?" And yeah, Hannah had a lovely steering hand in making that happen. So Hannah, thank you so much.
No, I'm so excited to share more about your story, and it was a beautiful thing that our paths have crossed. It's early in the day. It's late in the night for you. I should have my words straight here. But let's talk a little bit about how you got to where you are. You've been in sort of this mindfulness and well-being space for almost a decade. But did you grow up knowing you wanted to, help elders preserve their wisdom, or how did you get here?
Guys, as in I'm going to do my best here, but I just started like when I was a little boy, I was reading the Bible at church, freaking loving the stories of this kid's Bible, and I was like just crushing it. I was like, yeah, I love this. And I was always, very close to, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, the great mystery. Like, well, where the heck, what the heck is this? And honestly, I thought it like at like 18, I was like, oh my God, like, do I got to be a priest or something? I was like, no, I can't. I'm not doing that. That like, as in, just because I'm just like too out there, guys. I'm like really out there. But it was definitely something in spirituality, but I couldn't define what that is. And when I was 22, I had a vision. And because people think vision, they say, "Oh my God!" and the skies opened up, and this happened there, and the cannons blared, and the cherubims came down and said this. And it's like, no. Vision is like, so guys, like I've done a bunch of vision quests where we go out to the forest for 3 days, 3 nights, no food, no water, no speaking. You're on your own, meditating and contemplating. And I'd meditated for a year. I just sat on this I didn't know I was meditating, but this guy David Dieda spoke about you burning the fire of not knowing. And I was like, I was just burning every day. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? Because I started working in like I was one of the very early people in Facebook advertising, and like Candy Crush, if you guys heard of that game, like I was there in that company before they sold for like $700 million. And I want to shoot myself in the face. I'm like, this is not it. This is not it. But if you live in a a really high earning city like London, United Kingdom, you got to make a living, right? So, but I was like always very purpose driven, and I was meditating this for a year. You sit down for 10 minutes, like, what is it? What is it? And I'm like, and I'm frying in this. And then one night at 2 a.m., all the weight left, I just woke up and all the weight left from my body. And I said, Patrick, you want to help people become the most authentic version of themselves? And I was like, okay, that's it. And all my worries at work dropped away. But like the mountain of that, like was like just so far away. But I got the roadmap.
Yeah.
So it's been like 10 years figuring what that even meant. Because guys, like when you get a vision, it's not it's not Google Maps here, guys. It's like go that way. So I was just trying to figure out what that meant, and I worked with this guy. He's one of the best body transformation coaches in the world. He's a freaking genius at it, who coincidentally became like a spiritual healer thing, which I don't subscribe to personally. But I had a behavioral change company for fitness professionals, and then there's this guy called Dr. Joe Dispenza. He was a little known guy at the time, but apparently, he's quite well known. He's like Miley Cyrus putting him on her Instagram. So it's like, you probably might know who he is. And we ran courses for him. We were the first people in the world to run courses for the guy. And I just loved it. I just loved it. Just sitting down, and there'd be 30 of us and we'd come together every week for like 3 hours. And you'd sit down for like an hour, 90 minutes. And like, I could never do it. I was like, because guys, I'm from like a hardcore intellectual philosophical background. Like I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, but meditation nonsense,
Let's
and
debate this.
what?
Let's debate this meditation thing instead of do it, maybe.
Absolutely. Well, what's the intellectual foundation upon which it stands? Because if we go back to like Scripture says the meditation is single pointed focus on the last thought of becoming becoming enlightened, like become self-realized. So like if we're going on technicalities, like no one's meditating except for highly advanced spiritual practitioners. So I was like, that's nonsense. But what I've discovered was it's a much richer term than that. And I ran this, we ran these courses and they were great. But then, something terrible, a terrible accident happened within his organization, which stopped us doing these things. And, but I started a meditation community dedicated to this guy's meditations. And we grew and grew and grew, and it was crazy. And then we had like 60, 100 people, 120 people coming out in person, sitting meditating. And concurrently, so guys, there's like a lot of timelines here, and I'm doing my best to put this in a coherent way. But I found a teacher Maestro Manuel Rufino, and you can look him up. He's absolute genius. And it was just far more profound. Like, as Dr. Joe is very good surface level stuff. It's very good to get you into like, guys, sitting down is difficult. Sitting down for 90 minutes, that's hard. You can do that. Like, you're ahead of 99.9% of people, because it's hard to sit down for that long. And I learned about surrender, and I didn't know what gratitude was unless you're feeding me, of course. I couldn't feel, like, all my emotions were blocked. And I had the most beautiful processes, just unlocking all these things. And like, compassion? Well, what's that? Like, what do you mean? Like, guys, I was just like, my best friend joked I was a psychopath. There's a book called the Psychopath Test. He was like, yeah, glib charm, yeah, superficial, because I was so emotionally detached.
Yeah. And so much of what you're saying right now, of like having this idea of what your purpose was, and then kind of like navigating these maybe random seeming opportunities. And I think so many people listening can relate to that, because the dots never connect looking forward, right? Like you said, it's not like Google Maps where you're like, oh, well, all of this is going to mean something someday. But you were curious, you were a student of these experiences, and you were open to feedback. And I think that's probably one of the biggest, elements of your growth, whether it was from, starting to feel emotions, understand gratitude, which honestly is a brain teaser for me to imagine Patrick not understanding gratitude, because, you embody it and you live it. So
not always, guys, not always.
Like a big understanding of your and emotional intelligence. And so what I'm hearing from you, Patrick, and what I think other people can relate to, is that the middle is messy. Like, at the beginning that you're not happy, but then getting to that dream life or fulfilling your life purpose, like the middle is messy, right?
It is, and guys, just like, me and Hannah were having a little natter beforehand, and guys, sometimes it's that craving for the result. And what happens is we become so result oriented, and what that does is that steals your energy from today and puts it in an illusion, in a fantasy, so that you can never be present with anyone in your life and yourself. And that's what's happening. And if you were to meet any of the people who are successful coaches, like the good ones, the real good ones, they're so present for you, and they're like the spirit of service, where it's not like, what can I get from you? And there's no desperation, there's no scarcity. And guys, like, as a coach, those are things like I'd scarcity, huge scarcity things, like money mindset. I have inferiority, superiority complex. Like a lot of things which just, they're unconsciously saying, no, this guy, he ain't it. Don't go with this one,
Like granularly, or like really bringing this down to our like moment to moment experiences, is, those coaches or those people who are sliding into your DMs, or, asking you for a favor, or sending you an email, and you just get that sense that like it's inauthentic, or you're not interested, or you don't vibe with them. And what Patrick is saying is, in working with so many people and coaches and reaching, having this big community, he's found that coming from a place of service is the fastest way to the results, right?
And because it's very difficult to understand, because there's a part of you saying, what about me? And I think there's like little me. And guys, I this is an exercise I do whenever I'm getting into little me. Poor Patrick. I make fun of poor Patrick. I say, oh, he's worried about not paying the rent, or he's worried about this. Ooh. And I make fun of it, because you're playing such a low basic level, and like you can never, like you'll never do anything in any sense. And guys, I just did an event on like one of my teachers was speaking about this. He said, everyone's complaining about the wealthy. They said, oh my God, the wealthy, they're so horrible. They're so unequal. They don't share what they have, And guys, the thing is, we all have an abundance in some area of life. We all have an abundance of that. And I was like, I've got like a ton of good vibes. I got a ton of these things. I can share a lot of things, but I'm being a miser. I'm being an absolute Scrooge. And I was like, you can only meditate with me if you pay me money, you know? And I'm like, so guys, what I started doing was like, recently, I just started doing like a donation based one. And all the funds go to like a worthy cause. Like the first one went to like a community center, which has hosted many super powerful healing experiences for lots of people. Another one, this one, it was a very special Peruvian teacher who preserves the traditional songs of Peru. But you know, guys, his wealth is in spirituality. It's not financially. And you know, his wife has cancer, you know, and that costs money, you know. It's like, so, you know, sometimes the wealth doesn't transfer.
Yeah.
And we think that I can't give. I can't give. I don't have money. Isn't it? It's like, no, you have something. So I could afford to give out my good energy, and I raised money. I was like, oh my god, we got $700. I had only 2 weeks to promote this, and like 10 people came, but we got $700. And the next day, like a ton of clients came in. I was like, oh wow, because I was being generous, like genuinely generous. Because before I was secretly, yeah, I'll do that, and then what's in it for me, you know? And it never worked. And until I got to that level where I could be like, I am now able to be generous.
I love that. Truly embodying that abundance thing. And you guys, the universe and the law of attraction knows when you are faking it, right? When
boy does it.
Pretend to be generous, but be expectant of something coming to you. I've had this friend for years, and she's come to me for free advice, essentially, for years. And I'm always like, Angie, like, I know you just need to do my program, but I will just talk you through this again. I'll tell you what you really need to do, which is join the program. But I had been showing up for her as, you know, a friend and a mentor for years. And it wasn't until I created space, which Patrick, you just talked about, I created space for the way I worked with people, that she literally came knocking on my door. I didn't tell her I changed the program. I didn't tell her I had this opportunity for her, but she came to me and she was like, Hannah, I'm ready. She had credit card in hand, and we've been working together now. And so I think those two, like, real generosity, no longer like, I'm doing this because someday she's going to join.
Someday she'll sign up.
Yes, I let go of that. I honestly had like forgotten. I'm like, she's doing her own thing. It's been so many years. I've been expecting something. So I stopped expecting. And then number two, I created space. Like, Patrick, you gave those $700 to the charity, so you had more space to fill up your, you know, finances again. You know, I let go of dozens of clients, which was scary. And I said, I'm not working this way anymore. And then I had the space to take on a different set of clients. That these are the things that just happen. Like, I don't know, you would probably know the universal law that's at work, but real generosity and creating space for yourself are always going to work, right?
And what Hannah's also referring to here, it's like, and guys, it sounds like these platitudes, and but the thing is, what you'll tell is, because vibrationally you will understand someone who knows what it means as to someone just talking about it. It's trust. If you like, as in when you can truly trust and you have a true knowledge of this, and guys, oh my God, it's taken me such a long time. and
it's so hard to hear. I think you and I both, Patrick, heard this for so long. Like, it's all about action and working the system and copying, pasting someone else's funnel and click and email and all that stuff. And like, yeah, you're going to need some marketing skills, but you have to have the energetic personal work in place for it to be sustainable. And that is so hard to hear when you're little Patrick worried about rent. I know, I was there, and I was like, quit telling me, just give me the template. So let's go back to that little Patrick moment. Like, when you find yourself going into that, like, oh, poor me, maybe you're in scarcity, maybe you just want to do some get rich quick thing. What do we need to do instead? What's the better course of response?
Guys, and you're going to hate me. You have to understand, like, as in, so I was also speaking to Hannah about this, like, in coaching, there's a spectrum. There are more business-oriented coaches, and there are more expertise-oriented coaches. And you have to understand where you lie on that spectrum, right? And there's a chasm There's a chasm. So, like, you hear what these guys are doing, 500K a month, and it's like, oh my dear Lord, what are they doing? You know, and actually, Hannah and I, we met in a business that does that, and I saw it, and I witnessed it. And I'm like, I have no desire to run a business anything like this, and it was such a relief, guys. It was such a relief, and I looked at a 10K a month business. I was like, oh, I don't want to run it like that either. Just because of some of the things that you have to do to be that guy, as a, you know, because guys, I said there's a chasm, like, and it's really steep in the middle, because this is like crossing the chasm to be which one you want to be. It's difficult, you know, because they're the people who are like, I work with the best body workers in the world, like geniuses, absolute geniuses, but they don't make that much money. They don't make that much money, but they're one of the best in the world, right? Mm-hmm. And then I've worked with coaches. To be fair, like the person me and Hannah, he was kind of like one of these the rare people kind of meeting in the middle. He was a genius coach as well, but many of them aren't. Many of them are just good business people, and that's great. You know, some people have that, right? And some people have the expertise people, but it's not to be afraid. Like, it's not to be afraid to be generous, you know. And you know, maybe you're one of the people on the expertise side, but maybe like you just gotta, like, isn't like, do you like, isn't, because guys, if you're on the expertise side, like, and I count myself there because I tried the business side. I'm not a business guy. I'm not a business guy, and I invested probably £50,000 over the course of my career in investigating that, and I have a very deep understanding of business, and I know that it's not a thing that I will ever be able to put my heart into and be super financially successful, because it doesn't do it for me. And in the area of life, like I said, guys, we're all abundant in one area of life, or many areas of life. And in the area of life that I value, I'm a millionaire, I'm a multi-millionaire. I'm so rich. And that's why I can do.
Money is just one form of energy, right?
Exactly.
And I think it's so important for us to kind of call this out, that there are two pools you can be swimming in. You will know once we start to describe this, like Patrick has, like, you're the coach who's taking all the certifications, reading all of the personal development books, taking on the free coaching clients, imagining yourself really seeing transformation in people's lives. And then there's another pool of people who are, looking at their dream home and manifesting checks that come in the mail, and, thinking about the team that they're going to build on the business side of things. And of course, it's a spectrum of like, are you a coach or are you a business person? But oftentimes that's the missing link to like real success as a coach. And honestly, why so many struggle is that they're not willing to come a little bit towards the middle and either learn some business or learn some more coaching skills, right?
Absolutely. And guys, it's just like, because I know Hannah's all about, tailor-made, like, authentic way of doing business. And someone's like, you just have to be true to you, because some people are career coaches and some people are not career coaches. And to be a coach, your heart will be tested so many times. Your heart will be, and the universe, whatever you want to call it, will test you and see, do you really want to help people? Do you really want to help people? And you will be called on to answer that. And you know what guys, you know what I'm talking about. Maybe it's that sales call you missed and someone, or maybe like, maybe there's something it's just challenging. It's like maybe you're crushing financially but you're not that good at coaching.
You're not getting results, right? There's a huge difference between people who get results for themselves and earn a lot of money and the people who create transformations as a coach, right? And I think what else is important, because there's two ends to the spectrum, and you have to decide where you want to land, because you can get better. You can learn both sides of the spectrum. But what advice would you give someone who doesn't know where they want to go? Because there's so much noise. There are so many ads being thrown at us for what we should want, how much we should earn, what the 10K month actually looks like. So it can be really challenging for people to know where they want to land. How did you figure that out? You said you invested a lot.
I invested in a decent amount of money, but I had to know. I had to know, and the guy with me and Hannah, like, you know, because Hannah was there as well. Like, I work with the best people, because I always thought, I was like, I didn't work with the best yet. Maybe I'll do something. It's like, no. And then I worked with Hannah and the other guys, and like, I've worked with the best system. And then my mind could not hold on to the idea that I wanted to do it money wise. I'm like, oh dear, oh dear. I invested quite a lot of money chasing a Chimera because I wanted to do it another way. And guys, you know, like I recently, like, I didn't tell Hannah this yet, but I just started working with children, and like I started working in a school, and I'm so much happier. I'm so much happier, and it really, like, as in, of course, I have my coaching clients, but I'm so happy to go in and share my energy with beautiful children and teenagers every day, and like, you know, because I didn't like it, like, oh my God, yeah, something like, am I gonna get money? Am I not getting money? I'm like, I love being like, I'm like, guys, I'm a cover teacher at the moment, you know, as in, because I love it. Like, my business was live events. COVID, you know, changed the way I live. But I said, Patrick, like, do you want to serve? So what I did for months in the beginning of the lockdowns, I tried to serve my community, but they weren't interested. They just weren't that interested. Things went like, it was a natural ending, or it was like, ugh. And I just wanted to be of service. And I was like, well, who does want my service? And it's like, I found people. It's like children. And I'm like, yeah, oh my God, yeah. Like, this is so much fun, you know?
It's still aligned with your purpose to help, you know, people become their fullest version of themselves. You're just starting at a different point with your students, with your clients. And the first thing we always do with our clients one-on-one is get hyper clear about their purpose. So Patrick, you are a blessed soul. It's often unique to just wake up in the middle of the night and be told, like, you are meant to help fulfill people.
Guys, I meditated 1 year on that.
So he put in the work
1 year on that.
Right. But not everyone is clear about what is that endpoint on the Google map. But if we can dissect that through meditation, through personal development, through these exercises to uncover your mission statement, then the how does not matter. The how, you know, do you work with people for 12 weeks or 4 weeks? Do you work with kids in a classroom or online? Like, that stuff will evolve, because entrepreneurship is evolution. It's the biggest course in change and development. So I think it's so important what you're saying is that the how is going to change. But if you are on purpose and you're generous and you're allowing for it, you have space in your life and your mind for these opportunities, it will always work out. You will always be able to pay rent and then some. And it's hard to hear when you haven't had some of these experiences. But I hope that these stories are helping some people see what might happen on this path for them.
And guys, like, honestly, even with me and Hannah, like, one of the reasons we really get along is, like, Hannah's really like my partner, like my life partner. We're together 10 plus years, and I think, like, I see a lot of parallels with Hannah's relationship with her husband and my relationship with my partner. Because, you know, my missus, she's hard driving financial success, you know. She's really good at that, and she likes it, and it works for her. And, like, guys, I'm sitting right beside it, like, a freaking $7,000 infrared sauna. I get that in my room. Like, I don't live a bad lifestyle. I just prefer to be more service orientated in the business orientation. And I understand that not everyone can be in that situation where they can be materially, you know, supported in some way. Like, you know, I pay my way, but I mean, I wouldn't be living such a materially abundant lifestyle if it was not for the support of my partner.
Mm-hmm. And this is where, like, that spectrum comes back, right? And this is why partnerships move you on the spectrum. This is why courses and coaches can move you on the spectrum. Like, you don't want to be the bum down on 9th Street pushing a shopping cart, talking about the law of attraction, smoking a doobie all day, every day. Like, you got to kind of pull yourself with resources or people or connections to get closer to where you want to be. And I just want to remind people that can be unique. I think this is it's not a pet peeve, but it's also been coming up a lot this week as we're uncovering people's purpose and where they want to be on the spectrum. You're not going to find it on Instagram. You're not going to.
You only find it in your own heart, in your own quiet, reflective time. And, like, so, like, you know, working with people like Hannah, like it just helps puncture so many illusions. And like, and like, here's one of the hardest thing for me, because guys, I'm a more intellectual person, and it's commonly understood intellectuals hate business people, because intellectuals are there thinking and they're like, oh yeah. And in their head, they're self-satisfied with ideas in their head without going out there and doing it. And it's like why the business professor at university, he's got a Ford, and the businessman's got a Bentley. And you have to be accepting of your nature, you know? You have to be accepting of your nature, because like it's only through doing in the world, and like, you know, with people like Hannah, she just push you. She'd be like, oh my God, do this. And you're like, oh, I feel so comfortable. But then you go do it and you feel so good, because that's how you live life, by doing stuff, not by, you know, mentally masturbating.
Right. And as long as we're aligned to that.
Because a lot of coaches, they love like, oh, I love learning and I'm reading a book. But like, go out there and put your heart on the line and truly attempt to serve people.
If you want to make a living out of it. If you just want to learn and coach on the side, then like, great, like stay on that end of the spectrum. If you want to make a living out of it, yeah, it's going to take different learning, different growth. And as long as you're aligned with that North Star and you know what you want to do and what you stand for, it's easy to make those decisions, whether it's the right time to take a certification or a marketing course. You know, one of our clients, we help our clients get featured in media. And when I say that, some people freak out. And so I was talking to this person who's anti-video, which fine, great. Like she had in her head that to be in media or to be successful as a coach, she had to do video content. Again, because you're watching all these other people telling you that that's true, but it's not true. So we looked again, what is her purpose? What is her strength? Like she's a great writer. She's an editor-in-chief of a travel blog. Like why did she automatically go to think she had to start doing video and freak out about media? Right. And that's again, like Patrick is saying, like, you can only discover these things, you know, when you look inward. Looking outward is just going to kind of muddy the course, make the middle even more messy. So I want to just quickly touch on meditation for a moment, because I know.
Yeah. Go ahead.
How do we start? If we want to start looking inward for answers, how do we start?
So guys, you can go on my website. There's like a free meditation. Like, and guys, it's everything. I give away literally everything, but no one will believe that it takes 5 minutes. And you have to, guys, simple exercise, really simple exercise. You sit and you breathe in and out of your heart. You do that for 5 minutes and just see what comes up. Just bring any problem, any challenge you're facing. Because guys, we have, the heart is where we're going, right? It's like where, like it's the destination, but the mind just gets you there. And what Hannah was referring to, everyone's like looking around, looking outside. So that's the mind saying, "Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's a good idea." But is it a good idea for you? And it's when you connect to your heart, it's that's the only way to find it out. And guys, like, I'm sounding like I'm like really vague here, but it's just that meditation can take so many forms, because like I don't want to pigeonhole you to thinking that it's sitting there in a lotus position, because maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you're not there. Maybe you can't go to the forest like me and sit out there not eating and drinking and talking for 3 days. Maybe you can't do that. But maybe you could with a bit of training. But guys, I was like, Hannah, here's something I prepared earlier. One second. Guys, look, do you see this? Can you see this?
Ooh, you prepared this? What do you mean you prepared this?
This is meditation. This is meditation. This is like,
this, Patrick.
It's actually, that's what my girlfriend's one. My mom's not finished yet. That's meditation. That's
if you're not watching the video here, Patrick just showed us a beautiful image of a lion with bright colors and, you know, some abstract patterning going on. It looks like a mandala almost.
And what I'm saying, guys, is that if you were to paint, like, guys, that's as in, I'm not that like design oriented, right? That's a paint by numbers. Okay, so it'll cost you $15 on Amazon, right? However, if you're not good at painting, like I'm not that good at painting, but I'm learning, it'll demand all of your attention. That's meditation.
It's coloring books for me.
It's coloring. I do coloring. I do coloring as well. I color the tarot cards in, because the tarot is the visual representation of the path to enlightenment. So I color that in and try to absorb the ideas of it. One second, let me show you. I have a djembe. This is a djembe. It's a big, loud African drum, and I love it. And guys, that's my meditation, because I suck at drumming. I'm the worst. And I have a genius African drum master who coaches me 1-to-1 every week, and I'm not that good. And it takes up so much of my time. But guys, because it's so demanding of me, I can only do one thing at a time. I can only, so that's meditative. And maybe it's for you, it's going for a run. Maybe it's lifting weights. For me, I get up at 5 a.m. and I study philosophy from 5 to 6, and then I will sit in contemplation, in silence, and I will breathe, and I let the thoughts of the day come up, of the other day, of just things that need to come up, and then I will attempt to sit in actual silence. And guys, this is years of process. So to actually sit in silence, you have to clean your mind, and that takes a long time to do, because we've been treating our mind like a garbage can. So I don't want to set you up to failure by saying, sit in silence, because I don't know who you are.
At 5 a.m., do all of these things, right? Start with something that just takes all of your attention. And Patrick gave some really great ideas. But I think another place to look is like, what were the things that you loved doing as a kid? We just had Kelsey Babbitt on the podcast a show or two ago, and she talked about how as a kid, all she wanted to do was play outside. And she realized, decades into her life that she never played outside. And so I think that's another great place to look. Like, what are those things that have always captivated you? And start putting some intention and effort between cultivating more of that.
And that's the thing, guys, that sense of fun, because before I was like this dry, dusty, intellectual character. And now, like, I play the drums.
Frustrated with his business, right?
I'm a painter.
That route of like results, data, numbers, when you were made to play and manifest in some ways, right?
Absolutely, guys, as in, you are more than a coach. You're like, a coach is just one thing that you do. And like, it's very beautiful who you are if you'd only get to know yourself more, and like, guys, I'm an amateur astrologer, I'm a philosopher, I'm a mean cook, and you guys, you're all these things, and guys, cooking is incredible for getting in contact with your heart. So you cook for your family, and then answers come up.
Because then you usually get heartburn if you're like me. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Well, Patrick, I feel like we can talk all day on this, but I do want to ask where people can get that meditation from you and kind of continue this conversation. What's the best place for them to go?
Guys, I got a little Facebook group. I just set it up. So, guys, I actually stepped down as the head of the largest London meditation group, because I want to create my own thing, and it's called Meditation with Patrick and Friends. I'm Patrick, you're my friends, even if you don't know it yet. So if you just look that up on Facebook, and I guess I'll give Hannah the link, and on my website there's a free meditation. And guys, I know it seems simple, you're like, oh my gosh, it's 5 minutes. Like,
start somewhere.
Then letting the cat out of the bag. As in, the mind has a tendency to complicate. That's the mind, where the mind buys these courses because they're going to tell me the real answer. But no, the real answer is from taking examples like Hannah, like, just go do the thing. Go do the thing. You'll figure it out when you do the thing. Because everyone's like, oh, what do you want? It's a mind situation, and getting outside of the mind and getting into the heart. So it's a very simple exercise. My website's patrickray.leadership.com, and on the homepage there's a meditation. It's super simple, but
Patrick Ray
is difficult,
Yeah, start somewhere, man. I love it. Great things today. PatrickRayLeadership.com, as well as the Facebook group. We'll make sure we have links to all of that. Thank you so much, Patrick. Always great to collect some of your energy and hear from you. Air hearts and hugs to you.
Friends,
I love Hannah, and it's been way too long, and I'm really glad to catch up with her.
I will be back next week, though, with another inspiring guest that will help you make your dream life your real life.
That's right, friends. That'll do it for our show today. But remember, if you're really ready to implement and take these ideas into action, then hop on over to dreamlifeisreallife.com/show, and you can access all of the resources we talked about, and more importantly, set up a complimentary 10-minute phone call with my team so that we can help you get clarity and some concrete action steps in place. So this doesn't just become another one of those feel-good moments, but an opportunity to actually make a change in your life and business, because all good things come in action. So we'll see you over there at dreamlifeisreallife.com/show and next week here on the show.